Melbourne is sick. This stuff is happening. That the nightly news every day starts with some new exclusive footage on another carjacking, a home invasion. They slip through the cracks, they get released, they come out and they commit crimes. You'd like to say it can be fixed, but it's going to take some tough decisions by people who are known for making some pretty insipid ones. Any crime reporter in Melbourne today, they'll tell you the same stories. We get asked all the time, is Melbourne worse than ever, or are we just reporting it more? It's a mixed response, because we are reporting on a lot of crime, but there's just so much of it happening that we actually can't keep up with it. Believe it or not, a lot of crime just goes through to the wicket keepers, and the public are kept in the dark. Have a look at the crime stats. They're available there. They're published all the time now, and the stats will tell you the story. I won't bore you with the details too much on those crime stats, but needless to say, it said that Victorian criminal offences were up nearly 16% on the previous year.
I smashed my window, don't know how the alarm didn't go off, but they literally cleared everything out, including all of my rubbish, so thanks for taking the rubbish out.
The crime rate rose 13.8% in the last stats. It's horrifying, and Melburnians, they're talking about it, and we're talking about it a lot. You just got to head down to the pub if you've got the guts to do that, and you'll see people, you can listen in conversations, people are talking about it. A lot of people have been impacted by it directly. A lot of others, it's in the back of their minds. Crime is a mind game. People are talking about that horrific alleged stabbing of Wan Lai. She was a sushi chef going to work in the CBD. She was allegedly stabbed by a woman called Lauren Derul, who was seen allegedly putting a knife just randomly in her chest, puncturing her lung. It took weeks for that footage to come out while she was at large, and people are still talking about that now. That footage was just so chilling. It was raw. How did Melbourne get this bad? Well, everyone's got a different thought on that. You blame the cops, do you blame the politicians, you blame the courts? Youth crime in this state is through the roof. The stats tell us that as well. They account for a large amount of the robberies and aggravated burgs going on in this state. Police arresting more kids than ever. Youth crime has reached its highest levels since 1993. Many of these kids, they lived through our record-breaking COVID-19 lockdowns. This was a period that began around 2020, saw police dressed like Mad Max, going around locking up people who were not wearing masks and breaking the lockdown rules. Respect for Victoria Police has never quite recovered since then. Do we want to see kids locked up? Look, at the moment, I'd say, yeah, we do want to see them locked up. The courts will say, look, rehabilitation is the key, but you know what? We're sick of them. They bail them, they come out, they commit more crimes, lock them up. Crime was bad before the lockdowns. Remember the Apex gang? Everyone was talking about the Apex gang back then. The Herald Sun was on about it all the time. That newspaper now has been running a huge campaign against youth crime and the crime going on in this city. And say what you want about the Herald Sun, but it's not a beat up. This stuff is happening. That the nightly news every day starts with some new exclusive footage on another, carjacking, a home invasion. In recent times, we had fights between African gangs at the Broady shopping centre. We had those going outside of Crown Casino, allegedly attacked there. Fountain Gate shopping centre, more alleged attacks. We had those people at Luna Park, allegedly attacked by a couple of kids, released on bail despite the police begging for the magistrate to lock them up. We had those two poor kids, a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old, allegedly hacked to death. These kids, they go to youth detention where they've got to receive support and encouragement. This stuff that I'm talking about, this just happened the last month in October. We also saw protesters during the month of October attack police with rocks.
This is what was thrown at police today, and I think Melbourne has had a gutful.
Let's not forget the tobacco wars. You know, in a state, you might be thinking, oh, it's the tobacco wars. We see a couple of stories here and there. The Punisher got killed and what, but there's been fire bombings. It's way back in the news these days, but it is madness. You got a crime figure, Kaz Hamad, got out of jail. He's in the Middle East somewhere. He's one of the most hunted people in the world now. He's running his illicit crime empire based on tobacco from overseas, and we've seen fire bombings, carjacking, stabbings, tit for tat revenge attacks. And you know, Katie Tangi, she was just an innocent woman, house sitting her brother's house, looking after his dog.
Her death, the tragic consequence of a botched firebombing, which today police revealed was masterminded by underworld kingpin Kazem Hamad. But arsonists targeted the wrong house, police searching for this suspect.
These absolute imbeciles have gone and burned down the wrong house, and she has become an innocent victim. We have a mental health crisis in this state. It has been bad for some time. You know, we had Carly Pirinelli. I went out to that job, I think it was last year. Her mum had tried to get her help, just tried to have her, you know, committed to a psychiatric ward. She killed her mother, and police came down there and they gunned her down. They will have a crack at mental impairment if they can. Everyone has a look at it. Forensic psychiatrists have got backlogs. They've got so much work. And if you do successfully run a mental impairment case, well, what happens to you? You're found not guilty of these horrible murders. You know, you didn't do it. You were mentally unwell. You get put in a place called Thomas Embley Hospital. This is a place where men and women, clients, I guess, patients, they mingle together. And look, I've watched killers walk from there in just a couple of years. The doctors come to court and say, oh, we've cured them. What does the court do? They suppress that person was ever there, ever released, and you never know about it. Ask John Heron about how he feels about that. His daughter Courtney was killed in 2019. It shocked this country. Her killer, Henry Hammond, mentally unfit, put in Thomas Embley. And the Daily Mail, we've reported that he's been seen out and about, you know, just years after he was put in Thomas Embley, out unsupervised, runs down the local restaurants where Courtney herself used to dwell. I mean, it is sickening stuff. In Victoria, it's not cynical to say that the justice system would suggest that life is cheap. We've seen Beck Judd, the WAG social media influencer. She's actually done some pretty good work in highlighting what's been happening in Melbourne. She had huge cracks over the years at Dan Andrews, and she's blamed him for a lot of what went wrong. He watered down the bail laws just before he exited.
Well, I'm not interested in having an argument with Ms. Judd.
However,
I'm also obliged to point out, though, I think there are more than 70 additional police in the Bayside area, and she may have missed this, others may have missed this, 502 additional sworn officers and 50 PSOs.
Jacinta Allen, who was a disciple of Dan Andrews, is now running the state of Victoria. And she's come out and said, oh, we're making some of the toughest bail laws, you know, in this country. The legal experts say, yeah, it's all well and good to come out and say that sort of stuff. But they've been looking through the legislation pretty hard. Of course they're going to do it because you know what they like to do, and this is how all lawyers will work. They'll make the law work to their advantage, and they've already found places that they can exploit. You know, the law now still encourages youth to be released whenever possible. There's an updated manual that it pretty much instructs the magistrate that bail must be given. It's in the best interests of the community to release these kids. Jacinta Allen says she's trying to fix this up, and some say she is. You know, she is trying to toughen up the law. She has to.
Like, for goodness sake, this is about understanding the challenges that are present here in our state now, working through those challenges responsibly, listening to victims of crime, working with communities, working with Victoria Police, and most importantly too, being focused on the challenges that are here today and working on unlocking them for the future.
Then we had a rival politician. He tried to have self-defence laws amended because he thought, oh well, people are getting attacked in their homes. We need to do some stuff there so that these poor innocent people defending their homes, they don't go to jail. You know, they had a vote for it, and it didn't pass through. So, you know, they wanted it to be like they've got in the UK. It's called the Castle Doctrine, which it allows individuals to potentially use deadly force to defend themselves. And look, in Melbourne, you know, no one wants to kill anybody, but if someone's breaking into your home, you got young kids in the house, really crazy stuff can happen. So what do? Well, Paul Cale, he's a ex-Special Forces soldier, a war hero, a great man. He's developed a course developed specifically for scared Melburnians. You know, it's a 4-hour, $250 course. I get no kickbacks from Paul Cale here, but it's a great idea. He's training people how to defend themselves against home invasion threats using techniques that he says you'll be able to legally use. Victoria. The economy is also stuffed. Dan Andrews, he wrecked us during those lockdowns. You know, a lot of you will recall sitting back and getting paid more for not even going to work. It was just so easy to cash in during that period. It cost this state, you know, millions and millions. Things I do remember is like the East-West Link Road. This was something that got overturned by Dan Andrews, cost us to pay out the people who were supposed to be doing the contract for that. Whatever the case, Melbourne is no longer this most livable city. I mean, I always found it confusing that we were. We love sport, we love coffee, we love good food, we love live music, but none of that can compensate for, you know, the basket case that Victoria has become. You know, when it comes really down to the crutch of it too, when you think about the police, what can they do? They are locking these people up, but they get released back out onto the streets. Melbourne is the worst it's ever been, you know. You talk to people, they say they would pack up and move in a heartbeat if they could. They've got kids, you know, they've got elderly parents, they've got lives here. They just can't get up and walk away. So what do? You stay at home, you lock your doors, and you pray that your kids come home safely. And the alternative is pack up and get the hell out of here.